Hello there. Tonight, let's wander quietly into a snowy forest, where the stars shine softly above, and the trees listen with gentle hearts. This story isn't just a bedtime tale. It's about a kind of courage. The quiet kind. The one that lives deep inside you. Soft and steady, like a gentle snowfall. It's about trusting yourself to take brave steps, even when the path ahead is new and unknown. True courage isn't always loud or bold. Sometimes, it's a soft whisper that helps us keep going, even when we're unsure. This is the story of Lumi, a little snow fox with big, sparkling eyes, who didn't know she was brave until the forest whispered to her. Not with words, but with wonder. Maybe tonight, Lumi's gentle courage will help you find the quiet strength inside you, too. If this story brings you calm, or helps you feel a little braver, please like and subscribe. And if you feel called, share where you're watching from, and what time it is for you tonight. We'd love to know your sky, and send you warm wishes across the miles. Now, dim the lights, rest your hands, and let the world grow quiet, just for a little while. Breathe in softly, and breathe out slowly. There you go. Let's begin our gentle journey with Lumi, the brave little snow fox. A whispering forest, and a heart discovering its own quiet strength. The moon was rising gently over the snowy mountains, casting a soft silver glow across the quiet little village. The stars above twinkled like tiny lanterns, watching from the sky, while the wind whispered lullabies through the trees. Everything was still. Everything was calm. All the snow foxes were curled in their cozy dens, tucked in with moss blankets and pine-scented dreams. Fires flickered low behind frosted windows, and the gentle hush of sleep floated across the village like a warm breath. But in one small den, one tiny snow fox was still awake. Her name was Lumi. She had the fluffiest fur of all the baby foxes, and her big, sparkling blue eyes were full of wonder. They glowed softly in the dark, like snowflakes caught in moonlight. Lumi was the kind of fox who liked to ask questions, especially the ones no one else thought to ask. That night, she sat by the window, nose pressed to the glass. Her breath made little clouds that fogged the cold pane, and she drew circles in it with her paw. Outside, the snow glowed in the moonlight, soft, untouched, endless. Lumi's ears twitched. There it was again. A tiny shimmer, far beyond the village trail, just beneath the snow. It was so faint she thought she imagined it. A little flicker. A sparkle. Gone as soon as she blinked. She'd seen it before. Many times. But every morning, when the village bells chimed and the sun peeked over the mountains, Lumi, like all the others, would join the walk. It was called the Loop of the Ancients. A wide circle path that wound around the edge of the cliffs, carved smooth by paws over many, many years. They said it was sacred. That it kept the snow spirits happy. That it brought peace to the village. So every fox, big and small, old and young, walked it. Even Lumi. Even though, deep inside, something tugged at her heart each time she passed that glimmer in the snow. That night, curled beside her mama, Lumi couldn't help herself. "Mama," she whispered, her voice as soft as snowflakes, "why do we always walk the same path?" Her mama opened one sleepy eye and smiled gently. "Because it's what we've always done, my little light. It's safe. The loop keeps us safe. But, Lumi whispered again, what's out there? Past the path? Past the loop? Her mama wrapped her tail around Lumi, warm and comforting. No one knows. And maybe it's better that way. Lumi nodded, but her heart felt curious. And a little sad. Like something inside her was fluttering with questions. That night, as the stars blinked slowly and the world sighed in sleep, Lumi stayed awake. She stared at the ceiling, listening to her thoughts. She didn't feel scared. She felt something else. Brave. Before dawn touched the mountains, Lumi rose from her nest. Quiet as a whisper, she tiptoed past the sleeping snow foxes. Past the crackling fire. Past the soft snoring of her uncle who always dreamed too loudly. She slipped outside. The snow was cold beneath her paws, but it made her feel alive. The village was still. No bells. No footsteps. Just her and the wind. She followed the loop. It was there, waiting for her. The same circle. The same path. Worn smooth and safe. But Lumi didn't step onto it. She paused. She turned. And she walked toward the shimmer. The snow here was untouched. Fluffy. Pure. Her heart beat faster. She smiled without even meaning to. And then she saw it again. The shimmer. This time, it didn't disappear. It danced beneath the surface, like a tiny star hiding in the snow. She leaned closer. Closer. Crack. The ground gave a gentle sigh. And Lumi fell. Down, down, down. Not fast. Not scary. More like floating through a dream. Snowflakes drifted all around her, sparkling and silent. Her fur ruffled softly in the wind. And her big blue eyes stayed wide, filled with wonder. She landed with a soft poof. And the world around her was no longer her village. It was quiet. And glowing. The trees looked like they had been dipped in stardust. The snow shimmered in soft purples and blues. Lights pulsed gently beneath the ground, like the snow had a heartbeat. Lumi sat up slowly. She looked around. Her mouth opened in awe. And the only thing she could whisper was, "Wow." She had never seen anything like it. She stood, slowly. Her paws sank into the soft snow. Her tail twitched. Her breath came in little clouds. She was in a new world. One that no one in the village knew existed. She wasn't on the loop. She wasn't even close. And somehow, that felt more right than anything had ever felt before. A tiny laugh bubbled out of her chest. She wasn't sure why. Maybe because she had been so scared to step away from the path. And now, here she was. Still safe. Still Lumi. But somewhere new. Somewhere that shimmered. She looked up at the sky above this strange place. It was a sky she had never seen. And it felt like it was waiting, just for her. Back in the village, the snow foxes would wake soon. They would wonder where she had gone. They would look for her on the loop. But Lumi was already on a different path. One that sparkled. One that whispered. One that had waited for someone brave enough to follow the shimmer. And so, with her eyes wide and her heart glowing like her name, Lumi took her first step deeper into the unknown. The loop would still be there. But she wouldn't be. Not anymore. She had found something new. And maybe, just maybe, something new had found her too. It was a misty morning, so quiet you could almost hear the snow thinking. The sky was still tucked in its blanket of gray, and soft clouds tiptoed across the mountaintops. The trees stood still, their branches heavy with frost, like they too were waiting for something to begin. Deep in the village, the first bells hadn't rung yet. The loop of the ancients lay untouched, no paw prints, no rustling fur, no chatter of sleepy snow foxes stretching for the morning walk. And down in her little den, Lumi, the baby snow fox with glowing blue eyes, was already wide awake. Her heart was full of whispers. Not loud ones, not scary ones. Just gentle whispers. The kind that said, "Go." She remembered the shimmer she had seen the night before. The way it danced just under the snow like it was calling her. She had always seen it, but this time, she wasn't going to just look. She was going to follow. She took a breath, soft and slow, and slipped out of her bed of pine fluff. Her little paws barely made a sound as she padded across the cold floor. Outside, the world felt different. Not louder, not brighter, just quieter. The mist curled around her like a blanket. She could barely see more than a few tail lengths ahead. Everything looked softer. Sleepier. Like the village itself hadn't quite woken up. She crept past the familiar path, the same one all the snow foxes walked each morning. And then she stopped. There it was. The shimmer. Still there, still waiting. Just like always. But today, she didn't just look. She stepped off the loop. The snow was deeper here. It puffed under her paws like powdered sugar, cold but playful. Her fur fluffed as she walked, each step slower than the last. Her eyes glowed softly as she crouched low, ears twitching, heart thumping. The shimmer was just beneath the surface now, brighter than ever. She leaned closer. A little closer. And then... crick. The snow gave way. The ground below her paws cracked like a soft sigh, and before Lumi could even blink, she fell. Down. And down. And down. It wasn't fast. It wasn't scary. It felt like gliding through a snowflake. Lights shimmered around her like drifting starlight. The wind brushed her fur like a lullaby. She tumbled, spun gently, floated, until finally... poof! She landed in a soft pile of glowing frost. Lumi sat up slowly, blinking. The world around her was not the village. It was a hidden valley. A secret one. The air sparkled. The snow here shimmered in shades of silver and lavender. Trees stretched toward the sky with twisting crystal branches, and soft lights pulsed beneath the snow like glowing footsteps waiting to be followed. "Where am I?" she whispered. Her voice echoed lightly, as if the valley was waking up with her. She took one slow step. Then another. There were no loops here. No path. No bells. Just stillness, and shimmer. Her ears twitched. Her tail flicked. And then... she sneezed. A tiny, squeaky sneeze that bounced off the glowing trees like laughter. "Bless you," a voice whispered. Lumi jumped. She spun in a circle, eyes wide. Who said that? But the valley said nothing more. Only the snow shimmered, softly. She looked up. The sky above wasn't gray like in the village. It wasn't blue either. It was full of soft, rolling clouds that sparkled like they had secrets inside them. They drifted slowly, lazily, like they had nowhere to be. Lumi sat down in the snow. And for a long, long moment, she said nothing. She didn't need to. She just listened. To the stillness. To the quiet. To the peace that settled deep inside her little chest like a warm cup of tea. And then, something happened. A soft hum drifted through the air. It wasn't music exactly, more like a sleepy sigh that tickled the tips of her ears. The snow beneath her paws glowed brighter. And there, in front of her, the snow cracked again, just a little, revealing a glowing trail that shimmered faintly beneath the surface. Lumi stood slowly. Her eyes sparkled with wonder. It was a path. Not a loop. Not a circle. Just, forward. She didn't know where it led. She didn't know what she'd find. But she knew this. She couldn't go back. Not yet. She was meant to be here. This place, this hidden, snowlit valley, had been waiting for someone. Not someone fast. Not someone fierce. Just someone small, curious, and brave. Someone like her. She looked over her shoulder once. Toward the place she had fallen from. The place where her mama still slept. Where the others would soon wake, stretch, and walk the same circle again. She missed them. And her heart squeezed a little. Tears pricked the corners of her eyes. She whispered, "I hope you're not too worried, Mama." A snowflake drifted onto her nose. She sniffled, and smiled. Then, with a breath as soft as snow, she turned back to the glowing trail. And she walked. Into the mist. Into the shimmer. Into the part of the world no one remembered. Not even the snow. It was still early, though in the secret valley, time didn't seem to work the same way. The sky above shimmered like brushed silver, wrapped in soft clouds that moved so slowly, they seemed to be asleep. The trees glistened with crystals instead of leaves, and the snow beneath Lumi's paws pulsed faintly with light, as if it remembered each step she took. She walked gently, her little paws making soft prints behind her. Her fluffy tail dragged just a little in the frost, and her big blue eyes glowed quietly with wonder. She had followed the shimmer. She had tumbled through the snow. And now, she was somewhere no snow fox had ever been. The wind tickled her ears like a feather, and high above, the clouds whispered to one another in voices too soft to understand. The silence wasn't lonely, it felt like it was waiting. Like everything was holding its breath, just for her. Lumi's nose wiggled as she sniffed the chilly air. She padded past a cluster of tall, twisty trees with icicles hanging from their branches like sleepy bells. The icicles shimmered and clinked gently when the wind blew, tiny, delicate sounds that made her ears twitch and her heart flutter. She was just about to walk past one particularly large icicle when it blinked. Lumi stopped. The icicle wiggled. Then it spoke. It squeaked. "You'll wake it." Lumi jumped backward so fast she tripped over her own tail and landed with a soft plop in the snow. The icicle swung wildly from its branch and hissed in a panic, "Do you want to get frozen into a flake, little fluff ball?" Lumi stared, eyes wide. Who are you?" The icicle huffed and slowed his swinging, puffing himself up proudly. "I'm Drip Drop, guardian of the overhanging crystals, official whisper catcher of the valley, and keeper of the noisy secrets. But you may call me Drip Drop." He sparkled dramatically in the light. Lumi blinked. Oh, okay. I'm Lumi. Lumi? Drip Drop repeated. Sounds suspiciously like something that sparkles. Are you a sparkle? Lumi tilted her head. I don't think so. I'm just me. Drip Drop squinted one eye. You look like trouble. Lumi giggled softly. I'm not trouble. I just fell. And then walked. And then found you. Drip Drop sighed and spun in a slow circle, still dangling. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. First the shimmer opens, then a baby fox falls in, and now you're walking around like you own the valley. This is how the snow wakes up. Lumi's ears perked. The snow? Drip Drop dropped lower on his branch. The sleeping snow. She's big. She's ancient. She sleeps deep under the valley. If she hears strangers wandering, she might stir. Lumi swallowed. What happens if she wakes up? Drip Drop shivered so hard, a flake popped off his head. No one knows. No one's ever lived to ask. That made Lumi's fur puff a little. She looked around. The valley didn't feel dangerous. It felt gentle. But the icicle was still wriggling nervously, so she lowered her voice to a whisper. I didn't mean to come here. I just followed the shimmer. Drip Drop froze. You saw the shimmer? He asked, his voice a mix of surprise and suspicion. Lumi nodded. Drip Drop swayed slowly, thinking. Not many creatures can see that shimmer, he muttered. Only those who ask the quiet kind of questions. The ones most folks are too busy to think. Lumi looked down at her paws. I just wanted to know what was beyond the loop. Everyone at home walks the same path every day. No one ever asks why. Drip Drop was quiet for a moment. Then, softly, he said, that's because asking why is where the trouble begins. Lumi tilted her head. But it's also where wonder begins, right? Drip Drop blinked. Well, yes. I suppose that's true. But wonder and trouble, they walk paw in paw. Lumi smiled, just a little. Then I'll walk carefully. There was a silence then, soft and thoughtful. The clouds above rolled lazily on. Somewhere in the distance, a cluster of frost feathers shimmered in a breeze. Drip Drop sighed. Well, now that you're here, I suppose I should keep you from waking her nibbliness, the sleeping snow. She has a very sensitive snore. Lumi giggled. What happens if she snores? Drip Drop whispered, last time she snored, the whole east side of the valley melted into hot cocoa for 3 days. Lumi's mouth dropped open. Hot cocoa snow? Steaming. With tiny marshmallow frogs. They both burst into giggles. Drip Drop's laugh sounded like 2 teacups clinking together. Lumi clutched her tummy. I wish I could have seen that. Well, Drip Drop said proudly, I drew it in the snow with my cousin last spring. It didn't last, but it was beautiful. As their laughter faded, Lumi's eyes lifted to the sky. It was still whispering. Drip Drop followed her gaze. You hear it too, don't you? Lumi nodded. What's it saying? Lumi whispered, I think, it's saying there's more. Drip Drop swirled gently on his branch. There is. More than most ever see. She looked at him. Will you show me? He looked down at her. At her soft fur. Her big, glowing eyes. her heart full of wonder. And for a long moment, he didn't speak. Then, softly, he said, "Yes. But only if you walk lightly. And listen more than you talk." Lumi smiled. "I can do that." He wiggled his way down from the branch and plopped gently onto her head like a shiny little crown. "Then follow me," he said. And with Lumi's paws glowing gently beneath her, and Drip-Drop whispering secrets from above, they began to walk. Through the shimmer. Through the hush. Deeper into the valley that had waited so long for someone to ask why. Soft snowflakes twirled gently in the quiet air, settling like tiny stars upon the valley floor. Lumi, the little otter with sparkling eyes full of wonder, tiptoed carefully, her breath making little clouds in the chilly air. The snow glistened all around, whispering secrets only the quietest ears could hear. "Are you sure this is the way, Drip-Drop?" Lumi asked softly, her voice trembling just a little. The icicle who danced nearby jingled with a soft chime as he nodded. "Yes, Lumi. The path will appear soon, but we must be patient," Drip-Drop said, his voice like a gentle bell. "Sometimes, the best way is not the way we expect." Lumi's eyes grew wide with curiosity. She loved magic, but this felt different. The snow was thicker here, softer too, as if it held a secret waiting just for her. Then, through the misty air, they spotted something fluffy and white, almost like a cloud, but bigger. A puffball. The sleepy Yeti was curled up, snoozing peacefully. Lumi giggled softly. "Hello, Mr. Puffball. Are you awake?" The Yeti's big nose twitched. He sniffed, and suddenly, Icicle, a mighty sneeze shook the quiet valley. The puffball's eyes blinked open slowly. "Oh, hello," he mumbled, rubbing his nose with a big furry paw. Drip-Drop jingled happily. "This is Yeti, the keeper of the magical snow map. But there's a little trick, he only remembers things after he sneezes." Lumi tilted her head, her fluffy ears twitching with curiosity. "Only after sneezing? That's funny." The puffball yawned a great big yawn, then sniffed again. "Ah, yes. The map. It's right here, in my pocket," he said, pulling out a shimmering, icy scroll that sparkled under the pale sunlight. Lumi's eyes sparkled even more. She stepped closer, her paws crunching softly in the snow. "Can I see it?" she asked politely. "Of course," said Yeti, unrolling the map with a slow, careful movement. The map shimmered and shimmered, showing swirling lines of light that seemed to dance across the snowy paper. But then something strange happened. Lumi gasped. "This trail, it's not like the paths I learned. It's the opposite." Drip-Drop chimed softly. "Yes. Sometimes, the right way isn't the one we expect. Sometimes, the best way is hidden beneath what we think we know." Lumi looked down at the map again. The trail glowed softly, like a secret light inviting her forward. "But, what if I get lost?" Lumi whispered, her little heart pounding. "What if I make a mistake?" Yeti gave a soft chuckle. "Ah, little one, sometimes the best lessons come from the surprises we never expect." Lumi smiled shyly, her tail flicking in the snow. "I think I'm ready to try." Drip-Drop jingled excitedly. "Then let's follow the map and see where it leads." As they stepped onto the glowing trail, Lumi felt a warm glow inside her chest, a feeling like magic, hope, and courage all wrapped into one. The snow whispered around her, and for a moment, the valley seemed to hold its breath, waiting for Lumi's next. The snowflakes danced wildly all around Lumi as she stepped carefully along the glowing trail. The sky, once soft and pale, began to swirl with shades of gray and white, spinning like a giant, frosty whirlpool. The air grew colder, and the quiet valley was filled with the whisper of a coming storm. Lumi's little paws pressed softly into the snow, her heart fluttering like a hummingbird's wing. "Drip drop," she called, her voice barely louder than a breeze. "Do you feel that? The snow is moving, almost like it's alive." Drip drop jingled nervously, his crystal body trembling. "Yes, Lumi. This is no ordinary snow. It's the blizzard that walks. It moves with a voice, with magic. It wants to turn us back." Lumi's eyes grew wide, shimmering with both fear and wonder. "Turn us back? But we have to keep going. I want to find the way home." Just then, a soft, whispery voice floated through the snowstorm, gentle but full of power. "Lumi, why go forward? Come back to the warmth of your home, to the soft beds and bright lights, to the safe places you know." The swirling snow formed shapes, soft little snow bunnies hopping, warm fires crackling, and cozy homes with twinkling lights. Lumi blinked. For a moment, she felt the pull, the sweet longing for comfort and safety. Her tiny heart ached a little. "Oh, little one," the voice crooned again, "why risk the cold and the dark? Stay with us. Stay with the warmth. You don't need to go on." Lumi's paws trembled. Her eyes shimmered with tears she tried to hold back. "But I need to find my way," she whispered, voice shaking. The snowstorm grew louder, the illusions swirling faster. Lumi saw a sparkling bowl of her favorite fish stew, the gentle hum of her family's voices, the soft blanket she loved to curl under at night. The storm tried to wrap her in those memories, safe and warm. Lumi closed her eyes tightly and took a deep, steady breath. "I remember home," she said softly, "but I have to keep going to find my way." The snowflakes stung like tiny needles, the cold biting at her nose and ears, but Lumi's little paws pressed on. The storm roared, but her heart was louder. Suddenly, a bright, twinkling light shone through the swirling white. It was Drip Drop, jingling bravely, shining like a tiny star. "Lumi," he called, "remember, the blizzard tries to trick you with what you love. But the real journey is to find your own path, even when it's hard." Lumi's sparkling eyes opened wide, filled with new courage. She whispered, "Thank you, Drip Drop." She looked again at the swirling snow, then smiled softly. "I will be brave. I will find my way." The storm howled one last time, then slowly began to fade, melting away like morning mist. The trail glowed warmly beneath Lumi's paws, guiding her forward. With a small giggle, Lumi shook the snowflakes from her fur. "That was scary, but I'm not scared anymore," she said, her voice bright with hope. Together, Lumi and Drip Drop stepped into the quiet beyond the blizzard, ready for whatever magic and mystery waited next on their journey home. The soft crunch of snow beneath Lumi's paws was the only sound as she stepped out of the swirling woods into a wide, quiet field. The air felt still here, almost like the whole world was holding its breath. Lumi's big sparkling eyes looked all around, taking in the gentle slope of the land blanketed in fresh, powdery snow. It was beautiful, but also a little lonely. "Where am I?" Lumi whispered, her voice soft like a snowflake settling on a leaf. She took a tiny step forward, then another, her paws sinking slightly into the snow. Suddenly, she heard it, a faint, rhythmic tapping. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Lumi's ears perked up. What's that sound? She wondered, her heart fluttering with a mix of excitement and a little bit of fear. She looked down and saw footprints, lots of footprints, circling around the field in loops. They sparkled under the moonlight, like someone had walked there again and again, but no one was in sight. Hello? Lumi called gently. Is someone there? At first, there was only silence. Then, the softest whispers floated through the cold air. Turn back, turn back. Lumi's eyes grew wide. She listened carefully as the whispers grew clearer, sounding like gentle voices of old friends. Lost, lost, lost. Her tiny paws trembled. Who's there? Why are you lost? She asked, her voice a whisper in the quiet night. Suddenly, from the misty shadows, shapes began to appear. Ghostly figures of animals, old villagers, walked slowly in endless circles. Their footsteps echoed softly, looping and looping around the field like a never-ending dance. One spirit, a gentle old snow hare with soft, tired eyes, looked at Lumi. We walked the same path over and over, he said sadly, never knowing how to find our way home. Lumi's heart squeezed with sadness. But why didn't you stop? She asked, her voice trembling. The snow hare's eyes glistened like stars. We were afraid to step off the path. The circle felt safe, even though it kept us lost. We didn't trust ourselves to find a new way. Lumi looked down at her paws, feeling a warm sadness mixed with hope. I don't want to be lost, she said softly. I want to find a new path, even if it's scary. Another ghost, a little fox with bright eyes like hers, smiled kindly. You are brave, little one. The first step is the hardest, but once you trust your heart, you will see the way. Lumi smiled back, feeling the warmth spread inside her chest like a tiny glowing flame. Suddenly, the old spirits began to fade, their footsteps melting away like snow under the morning sun. The field grew still once more. Lumi took a deep breath, feeling stronger and more certain. She knew that to find her way, she would have to trust herself, even when the path wasn't clear. With a quiet giggle, Lumi skipped forward, her paws leaving fresh prints in the snow, creating a new trail, her own trail. As she walked on, the gentle night sky sparkled above her, full of stars that seemed to wink with encouragement. And Lumi, the little snow fox with big sparkling eyes, felt a new kind of magic, the magic of courage and believing in herself. Her journey was just beginning, and she was ready for whatever wonder awaited next. The night sky was deep and velvet dark as Lumi wandered softly through the sparkling snow. Her paws made gentle prints that shimmered under the silver moonlight. The air was crisp and still, except for the soft whisper of the wind singing through the trees. Suddenly, a tiny blue glow flickered nearby. Lumi's big eyes sparkled with surprise and delight. She tiptoed closer and saw a beautiful moth, its wings glowing like little lanterns in the dark. Hello, little one, the moth said in a voice as soft as a breeze. I'm Miri, the moonlight moth. I've come to help you hear the secret songs of the snow. Lumi blinked in wonder. Songs of the snow? How can snow sing? Miri fluttered her glowing wings and smiled gently. Listen closely, and you will hear. Lumi closed her eyes and tilted her head. At first, she heard only the quiet hush of the night. Then, faintly, a gentle melody drifted through the air, like a lullaby whispered by the wind. Miri's wings shimmered as she floated ahead. The snow holds echoes, memories caught in the ice and frost. They can guide you, if you know how to listen. Lumi felt her heart beat softly, like the rhythm of a song. She followed Miri toward a cave made of glistening icicles that hung like delicate crystals, sparkling in the moonlight. Inside this cave, Miri said, the icicles sing their ancient song. Listen, and the truth will come. Lumi stepped carefully inside. The air was cool and shimmering, and the icicles tinkled softly, like tiny bells ringing in the quiet. Suddenly, the icicles began to sing, a clear, shimmering melody that danced through the cave. Lumi's eyes grew wide as the notes swirled around her, filling the space with magic. As she listened, images appeared in her mind, memories from long ago. She saw the village and the snow foxes, walking the same path again and again, but the path had not been planned. It had started by mistake, a simple wrong turn in a thick fog that became a tradition. Lumi felt a gentle sadness, but also a spark of hope. The path was not made by fear or wisdom, but by accident. That meant there was a new way, a way waiting to be found. Miri's voice was soft as a whisper. Sometimes, the stories we follow are not true. Sometimes, they hold us back. But listening to the song of the snow can help you find your own path. Lumi smiled softly, feeling the magic of the moment wrap around her like a warm blanket. Thank you, Miri. I want to find my own way. The blue moth fluttered happily, her glow brightening the cave. Remember, little one, the snow sings for those who listen with their hearts. As Lumi stepped out of the cave, the night sky seemed to shine a little brighter. She felt lighter, braver, ready to follow the song of her own journey. And with that, Lumi's adventure continued, guided by whispers, songs, and the magic of believing in herself. Soft flakes drifted lazily as Lumi wandered deeper into the snow-covered woods, her little paws padding quietly over the glistening ground. Suddenly, the snow beneath her gave way, and with a surprised yelp, Lumi tumbled down into a hidden dome below the earth. She landed softly on a patch of snow that sparkled like diamonds, but around her, the world looked very strange. To her left, golden sunlight warmed bright green grass and blooming flowers. To her right, a swirling blizzard whipped fierce cold winds, bending icy branches and swirling snowflakes wildly. Lumi blinked with wide, sparkling eyes. "Where am I?" she whispered, shivering a little from the cold side, but feeling the warm sun on her fur at the same time. Just then, a quick movement caught her eye. A small snow hare with fluffy white fur and twinkling eyes hopped forward, balancing a crooked umbrella on his tiny paws. "Hello there," the hare called with a cheerful smile. "I'm Hob, the weather writer. Welcome to the lopsided snow globe, where seasons dance all at once." Lumi giggled, her fear melting like morning frost. "Weather writer? What's that?" Hob tapped the crooked umbrella on the ground, and with a flick, the blizzard on the right side slowed to a gentle snow. Then, with a twirl, the sunlight on the left stretched wider, warming more of the dome. "I write the weather," Hob explained proudly. "With my umbrella, I can change how the seasons play inside this dome. But sometimes, the umbrella gets a bit lopsided, and the weather goes wild." Lumi's eyes twinkled with delight. "That sounds like magic. Can you show me?" Hob grinned and gave a little spin, swirling the umbrella, making snowflakes twirl like dancers and sunshine sparkle like stars. Lumi laughed, her soft giggles echoing like bells. Suddenly, the blizzard side swirled fiercely again, sending a tiny whirlwind around Lumi's paws. She squealed in surprise, spinning a little, but quickly caught her balance. "Oh no, it's the lopsided weather again." Hob chuckled, shaking his head. Hold on tight. Together, they danced around the dome, the snow and sunshine swirling, mixing and swirling. Lumi's heart soared with excitement and joy, the cold and warmth weaving together like a magical song. After a while, the whirlwind slowed, and the dome settled into a gentle balance of soft snowflakes drifting down under warm sunlight. Lumi sighed happily. This place is full of surprises. Hob nodded wisely. Just like life. Sometimes things feel wild and out of balance, but with a little patience, and a crooked umbrella, we can find our way back. Lumi smiled softly, feeling warmth not just from the sun but deep inside her heart. Thank you, Hob. I think I'm ready for whatever comes next. With that, Lumi looked up at the sparkling dome ceiling and spotted a small shimmering crack, her way back to the snowy forest beyond. She took a deep breath, feeling brave and curious, and stepped toward the crack, ready to continue her journey with a heart full of wonder and a smile shining bright. The seasons inside the lopsided snow globe had taught her that even when things seem mixed up or confusing, there is always a way to find balance again. And so, Lumi's adventure moved onward, with new magic waiting just around the corner. The air was crisp and cold as Lumi carefully stepped onto the broken ice bridge. The wooden planks creaked softly beneath her tiny paws, and the gaps between the boards showed swirling icy waters far below. Her big, sparkling eyes were filled with a mix of excitement and a little nervousness. Steady now, Lumi, she whispered to herself, taking slow, careful steps. Suddenly, a deep, rumbling laugh echoed through the frozen valley. Hee hee hee. It was a sound that made the snowflakes shiver and the icicles tremble. From behind a frozen boulder, a figure appeared, a snow troll. His skin was made of packed snow, with twinkling frost in his thick eyebrows and a wide, mischievous grin that showed his crooked teeth. Hello, little traveler, the troll cackled, his laugh echoing like a bell. You're crossing my bridge. But to pass, you must play a game. A riddle game. Lumi's paws froze for a moment. Her heart pounded like a drum. A game? What kind of game? She asked, trying to sound brave. The troll's eyes sparkled with mischief. I collect lost things, lost toys, lost dreams, and especially lost directions. He held up a big sack stuffed full of crumpled maps, broken compasses, and forgotten notes. Lumi's eyes widened. My map. Is that in your sack? The troll grinned. Maybe. But you can only have it back if you answer my riddles. Are you ready? Lumi took a deep breath, trying to calm the fluttering in her chest. I'm ready. The troll rubbed his snowy hands together and smiled wide. Very well. Here is your first riddle. I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with wind. What am I? Lumi thought hard. Her ears twitched, and her nose wiggled. She pictured the chilly wind dancing through the trees and the sounds it made. An echo, Lumi answered softly, her voice filled with hope. The troll clapped his frosty hands. Correct. You are clever, little one. Then, with a sparkle in his eye, he continued, second riddle. I'm tall when I'm young, and I'm short when I'm old. What am I? Lumi's big eyes grew even wider. She giggled quietly, remembering the candles her family used to light during celebrations. A candle, she said brightly. The troll laughed, a warm, rolling sound. Well done. You're quite wise. But the troll wasn't finished yet. Last riddle, little traveler. What has keys but can't open locks? Lumi thought hard again. Her mind raced through things with keys, a door, a treasure chest, but none fit. Then she smiled. A piano. The troll's eyes twinkled with delight. You've won, little fox. Your map is yours again. He reached into his sack and pulled out a sparkling, shimmering map, the very one Lumi had been following all along. Lumi's heart leapt with joy. Thank you. I promise to be careful with it. The troll winked and said, remember, sometimes we lose our way, but with a little cleverness and courage, we can find it again. With a happy bounce, Lumi stepped carefully back onto the ice bridge, clutching her map close. The troll's laughter faded into the crisp air as she continued her journey, feeling braver than before. And somewhere deep inside, Lumi knew that no matter what challenges came next, she could face them, with a clever mind and a kind heart. The forest grew still as Lumi padded softly into a quiet glade, where the snow lay smooth and untouched like a blanket of purest white. Her little paws made gentle prints in the soft snow as she looked around with big, sparkling eyes full of wonder. In the center of the glade, something caught her attention, a shining block of ice that glittered like a diamond in the soft light. Inside the ice was a giant feather, delicate and silvery, frozen as if time had stopped around it. Lumi stepped closer, her breath making tiny clouds in the cold air. Wow, she whispered, her voice soft as snowflakes falling. Who left this here? As she touched the smooth ice gently with her paw, a warm memory stirred inside her, like a soft breeze carrying a story from long ago. A gentle voice seemed to float through the glade. I am the feather of a great bird, it said, as if the wind itself was speaking. Long ago, I flew high above the mountains, marking a path no one dared to take. Lumi's eyes grew wide, sparkling with excitement and a touch of wonder. A path no one dared to take, she repeated softly. The feather shimmered inside the ice. Yes. The bird was brave and curious, just like you. It soared beyond the clouds, where the sky touches the earth, and saw a way no one else saw. Lumi imagined the bird flying high, its wings spread wide, gliding gracefully over the snowy peaks. She felt a warm flutter in her chest, like the first flutter of wings. But why is the feather frozen here? Lumi asked, her voice filled with gentle curiosity. Sometimes, the voice said softly, when courage and curiosity fly too far ahead of time, the path becomes hidden. The bird's journey paused, waiting for a new heart brave enough to follow. Lumi looked down at the feather, then back at the glade around her. She felt a quiet strength growing inside, like a tiny fire glowing under the snow. I want to be that heart, Lumi whispered. I want to find the path no one has taken. The ice around the feather shimmered and cracked softly, as if the story itself was waking up. Lumi smiled, her little tail flicking happily. Maybe it's time for the path to be found again. She picked up a small, smooth stone and gently tapped the ice. The frozen block glowed softly, then slowly melted, freeing the giant feather into Lumi's paws. The feather felt warm and alive, its silver strands shimmering with promise. As Lumi held the feather close, she felt a breeze wrap around her like a hug, carrying whispers of the mountain and the sky. With a deep breath, Lumi stepped forward, ready to follow the new path marked by the frozen feather's story, a path of bravery, wonder, and discovery. The glade seemed to smile around her, and the journey moved on, guided by the wings of hope and the courage of a little snow fox with big, sparkling eyes. The air was still and quiet as Lumi stood in the glade, the silver feather resting gently in her paws. The soft light of the moon shimmered on the snow all around her, making the world look like a dream. Lumi looked down at the feather, feeling its gentle warmth. Slowly, she lifted it toward the sky and whispered, "I'm ready to let you go." As she released the feather, it floated up softly on a gentle breeze. The wind began to stir, swirling around her like a warm hug on a chilly night. The breeze whispered softly, carrying secrets from long ago. Who are you?" Lumi asked, her voice as quiet as the snow falling. "I am the wind that remembers," the breeze whispered back, wrapping gently around her. "I carry the stories of those who came before." Lumi's eyes sparkled wide with wonder. "Tell me your story," she said softly, her heart full of hope. The wind hummed a gentle song, like the rustling of leaves and the soft sigh of the earth. "Long ago, a brave snow fox, like you, questioned the loop that kept the village walking the same path every day," the wind told her. "She dreamed of finding a new way, a path of her own." Lumi's ears perked up. What happened to her? The wind grew softer, a little sad. Fear silenced her voice. The whispers of doubt and worry wrapped tightly around her heart, and she stayed on the path, trapped by the same footsteps that held the village. Lumi's eyes shimmered with gentle tears. "That's so sad. I don't want to be afraid like that." The wind brushed softly against her fur, like a comforting hand. "Fear can be strong, but so can courage. You carry the spark she couldn't, the spark to listen to your heart and find your own way." Lumi took a deep, steady breath, feeling the wind's warmth wrap around her like a soft blanket. "I will be brave," she promised. "I will not let fear stop me." The wind swirled happily, lifting her fur with a playful breeze. "Good, little one. Your journey is the beginning of a new story, a story of hope, courage, and discovery." Lumi smiled softly, feeling the magic of the moment settle deep inside her heart. The wind carried her promise gently away, scattering tiny snowflakes like sparkling stars. With one last warm swirl, the wind that remembers drifted away into the night, leaving Lumi standing in the quiet glade, filled with new strength and a quiet glow of courage. Her paws felt lighter, her eyes brighter. She knew the path ahead was hers to find, with a heart full of wonder, and the wind whispering softly by her side. The moon hung low in the sky as Lumi walked quietly through the forest, her paws making soft prints in the fresh snow. The world was wrapped in a gentle hush, and the cold air sparkled with tiny stars of frost. Lumi's big, sparkling eyes shone bright with curiosity and hope. Ahead, between two ancient pine trees, stood a tall, shimmering mirror framed with delicate icicles that glistened like crystal. The mirror seemed to glow softly, as if waiting for Lumi. With a gentle breath, Lumi stepped closer and looked into the mirror. At first, she saw only her own reflection, soft fur dusted with snow, bright eyes full of wonder. Then, slowly, the glass began to ripple like a still pond disturbed by a pebble. Images shimmered and danced across the surface. Lumi watched as the mirror showed a time long ago, when the village was young and full of hope. The snow foxes walked through the forest, learning and playing under the watchful stars. But then, a thick fog rolled in, swirling like a soft gray blanket. Through the mist stumbled a large moose, confused and lost. He wandered and wandered, his heavy hooves leaving deep prints in the snow, searching for a way home. The foxes saw the moose's footprints forming a circle, a loop around the valley. Afraid and unsure, the villagers began to follow the moose's trail each day, hoping it would lead them safely home. Lumi's eyes widened as the mirror showed the village turning the loop into a daily path, a tradition born from fear and uncertainty. The reflection shifted again, showing foxes walking the same path, day after day, not daring to step beyond the familiar circle. Lumi felt a gentle sadness in her heart. They were scared, she whispered. But they didn't know there was another way. The mirror shimmered softly, and a warm voice seemed to float from its glassy depths. Sometimes, fear hides the truth, it said gently. It turns mistakes into rules, and limits into walls. Lumi looked at her own reflection again, now shining with quiet strength. But I don't want to be afraid. I want to find the truth, and a new path. The mirror glowed warmly, and the images faded into twinkling lights that floated around Lumi like fireflies. With a soft smile, Lumi whispered, "I will be brave enough to step beyond the loop." The snow around her seemed to sparkle brighter, and the night sky held its breath, as if cheering for the little fox with the big, glowing eyes. Lumi took a deep breath and stepped away from the magical mirror, her paws ready to leave old footsteps behind and follow her own shining trail into the unknown. Her journey was no longer just about finding a way home, it was about finding the courage to create new paths, to trust herself, and to believe in the magic of discovery. And with that, Lumi's adventure moved forward, under the quiet light of the stars and the soft whisper of the snow. The first soft light of dawn stretched gently across the snowy valley, painting the world in pale pinks and blues. Lumi padded slowly through the quiet forest, each step leaving tiny sparkling prints in the fresh snow. Her breath made little clouds that floated softly into the chilly morning air. In her heart, she carried something precious, a gentle truth and a glowing map, shimmering softly like a star. The journey back had felt long and strange, but Lumi's big, sparkling eyes were filled with hope and courage. She had learned so much, about fear, about following her heart, about new paths waiting to be found. And now, all of that was with her, tucked safely inside. Ahead, between tall frosted trees, Lumi saw it again, the crack beneath the frost. It was just as she remembered, a silver thread weaving through the white snow, pulsing softly with magic. The crack seemed alive, waiting, welcoming her return. Lumi's little paws slowed. Her heart fluttered like a gentle bird. "I'm ready," she whispered to the morning, her voice soft as falling snowflakes. She took a deep breath, steadying herself for the moment ahead. As she stepped closer, the snow around the crack began to shimmer and shift, swirling like a soft dance of moonlight and mist. The icy edges sparkled like tiny stars, and the crack slowly widened, glowing with a pale, magical light that wrapped the air in a quiet warmth. A gentle hush settled over the valley, the kind of silence that feels like the whole world is listening. Lumi's sparkling eyes widened as the snow began to swirl and form shapes, soft, shimmering waves of frost that curled like ribbons in the air. Then, from the swirling mist, a voice spoke, calm, deep, and kind, like the sigh of the earth itself. "You have come far, little one," it said, wrapping around her like a soft lullaby. Lumi looked up, and there, in the heart of the crack, she saw the sleeping snow. It wasn't cold or harsh like she had once feared. Instead, it was a gentle, shimmering presence, like a guardian made of glistening mist and quiet light. The snow bent in a silent bow, its swirling form curling softly around Lumi as if to protect and honor her journey. With a heart full of courage and gratitude, Lumi stepped forward, letting the glowing crack open wide enough to welcome her. She slipped gently through the shimmering veil, the magical light wrapping around her like a warm, soft blanket. On the other side, everything felt different. The air was warmer, filled with soft golden light that made the snow sparkle like 1,000 tiny diamonds. The trees stood tall and bright, their branches gently swaying in a friendly breeze. The forest here was alive with promise and new beginnings. Lumi's paws touched the soft earth of home. But she was not the same little snow fox who had slipped through the crack before. She carried with her the magic of all she had learned, the courage to trust herself, the wisdom to see beyond fear, and the bright light of a new trail glowing softly in her heart. She paused for a moment and looked back. The crack shimmered softly, folding in on itself like a closing flower, a silent guardian of the secrets and stories it had held. Lumi smiled and whispered, "Thank you," to the sleeping snow, her voice full of love and respect. As she took her first steps into the familiar forest, Lumi's heart sang with joy. The journey had come full circle, but her path was forever changed. The old loop no longer held her. Instead, she carried a new story, a story of truth, bravery, and hope, that would guide not only her but others who were ready to find their own way. And as the sun rose higher, warming the world and lighting the snow, Lumi walked forward with a gentle confidence. She was ready for whatever magic and wonder awaited her next, with a glowing trail shining bright inside her, a path of her own making, filled with endless possibility. The morning sun peeked softly over the snow-capped trees as Lumi padded quietly into her village. The world was fresh and sparkling, dusted with powdery white snow that twinkled like a million tiny stars. Her paws left fresh prints, each one glowing faintly with the magic of her journey. Lumi's big, sparkling eyes shone with hope and wonder as she walked down the familiar paths, now feeling somehow new. She carried something precious inside her heart, a gentle courage and a glowing map of a new way. As she entered the village clearing, a small crowd of snow foxes gathered, their curious eyes wide with surprise. The elders whispered among themselves, their brows furrowed in disbelief. Some looked worried, others confused. One elder stepped forward, her voice gentle but filled with concern. "Lumi, where have you been? And what is this trail of glowing prints behind you?" Lumi smiled softly, her voice calm and warm, like the first light of dawn. "I went beyond the old loop. I found a new path, a path that wasn't there before. It's not just a path in the snow, but a path of hope and courage in our hearts." The crowd murmured, some looking doubtful, others hopeful. "But the loop is safe," a young fox said quietly, glancing nervously at the familiar circular trail. "It's what we've always known. Why should we change?" Lumi's eyes softened with understanding. "I was scared, too," she admitted. "But the loop kept us walking in circles, afraid to try something new. I learned that sometimes, to find a better way, we have to be brave enough to step off the old path and trust ourselves." The wind stirred gently through the clearing, swirling around Lumi's paws. Then, something magical happened. The snow beneath her pawprints began to shimmer and glow with soft, sparkling light. The glowing trail lifted gently from the ground like a ribbon of silver and blue, stretching out before the villagers. Gasps of surprise and wonder rose from the crowd as they watched the trail glow brighter, lighting up the clearing like stars come to life. One by one, the foxes stepped forward, curiosity overcoming their fear. They placed their paws carefully in Lumi's glowing prints and felt a warm, gentle magic beneath them, a magic of new beginnings and endless possibilities. An elder fox smiled warmly, her eyes twinkling like the moon. "Perhaps there is more than one way," she said softly. "Perhaps we can be brave, like Lumi." Encouraged by her words, more and more villagers began to follow the glowing trail. Their footsteps wove together a new story, a story of hope, courage, and the joy of discovery. The old loop, once endless and unchanging, began to fade gently into the background. It was no longer a circle that trapped them, but a distant memory, like a fading dream. As the sun climbed higher, casting golden light across the village, the snow foxes felt their hearts open to new possibilities. They learned to listen to the whispers of the wind, to trust the quiet voice inside that called them forward. Lumi watched her friends and family with a warm smile, her heart full of peace and happiness. She knew their journey was just beginning. Together, they would explore new paths, step into the unknown, and discover wonders beyond the old loops. That night, under a sky sprinkled with shimmering stars, Lumi curled into a soft snowbank, her eyes glowing softly in the moonlight. She dreamed sweet dreams of adventures yet to come, adventures filled with courage, friendship, and the magic of finding your own way. And in the quiet village, where old paths faded and new trails sparkled, the spirit of discovery lived on, shining bright in the heart of a little snow fox with big, sparkling eyes. The village lay quiet under a deep blanket of snow, but something had changed, something gentle and wonderful that made the air feel warmer, even in the cold. Gone were the endless circles of the old loop, the path that had kept everyone walking in the same place, day after day, year after year. Now, soft ribbons of fresh snow trails stretched through the forest like silver threads weaving new stories. The snow foxes, young and old, were stepping off the familiar path for the very first time. Their paws pressed carefully into the untouched snow, leaving prints that sparkled faintly under the glow of the moon and stars. Lumi watched from a small hill, her heart full of quiet joy. Around her, the village was alive with new sounds, the gentle crunch of paws on fresh snow, whispers of laughter that danced like wind chimes, and the soft murmur of voices sharing wonder and hope. Each fox found their own way, following a path that felt right in their heart. Some wandered into the tall trees, where snow clung like soft feathers. Others traced sparkling trails beside frozen streams that sang their own gentle songs. No longer trapped by the old circle, each step was an adventure, a choice to trust their own footsteps and the quiet voice inside that whispered, "This way." Lumi's own trail glowed softly beneath her paws, a shimmering ribbon of moonlight and dreams stretching beyond the horizon. It was not just a path carved in snow, but a journey of courage, kindness, and discovery, a trail she had created with every brave step. As the day folded into twilight, the sky deepened into a rich navy blue, sprinkled with glittering stars. The village settled into a peaceful calm, and Lumi found a cozy nook beneath the branches of a tall pine tree, its needles dusted with snow like powdered sugar. She curled herself into a soft, warm ball, her thick fur shimmering with frost, and her big eyes glowing gently in the quiet night. The stillness wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, filled with the gentle magic of all she had learned. Her thoughts drifted softly, about bravery and listening to the heart, about the strength it takes to step into the unknown, and the wonder that grows when you believe in yourself. Above her, the stars twinkled like tiny lanterns, their gentle light stretching across the dark sky like a pathway to endless dreams. And as Lumi's breathing slowed into the gentle rhythm of sleep, her glowing eyes held the sparkle of 1,000 new adventures yet to come, adventures filled with friendship, kindness, and the magic of discovery. In the hush of the night, the village dreamed too, wrapped in the promise of new beginnings and the joy of finding your own way. Because Lumi had shown them all that sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is to step off the old path and follow the shining trail of your own heart. And in that soft, snowy world, under a sky full of stars, every little pawprint sparkled with hope, a promise of a future where every journey is unique, and every story is waiting to be told. And now, The story settles into a gentle quiet. Not an ending. Just a soft resting place. Lumi's journey was never about rushing or being the loudest. It was about something deeper. Something tender and brave. The kind of courage that doesn't need to shout to be real. The kind that lives inside each of us. In the quiet moments. In the times we feel unsure. We often think courage means never being afraid. Or always knowing the way. But sometimes, real courage is simply trusting yourself, softening your heart, and taking one small step forward, even when the path is unknown. If this story has brought you a feeling of calm, or reminded you of the quiet strength inside, we invite you to gently like this video. Share it with someone who might need a little peace. And subscribe if you want to return to this quiet space again. Every kind word, every share, helps us grow this little corner of stillness. In a world that's often too loud. Thank you for being here. For listening with your heart. For taking this gentle walk with Lumi. And as you return to your day, may you carry with you this quiet truth. Sometimes courage doesn't roar. Sometimes it simply continues. Softly. Steadily. With a glowing heart. Take good care. And keep going. You are not lost.